Boss Lady Conversations with Monica L.
and Coach Kaya.
Boss ladies are
Vulnerable,
authentic,
love,
hopeful,
abundant.
respected.
Boss ladies are
You. Welcome back, listeners. Thank you so much for joining Boss Lady Conversations Season 2 with my girl, Coach Kaya. I am Monica L., a boss lady, Cleveland-born, LA raised, on a journey of freedom and happiness. As an educator, entrepreneur, self-published author, and poet, I believe all things are possible through synergy. Let's get it. My IG handle is at MonicaL_writer.
Woo, Monica L. I loved your energy. We are coming up bossed up and better than ever for Season 2. I'm your girl, Coach Kaya. I'm a boss wife, certified transformational coach. What do? I help people access their power by healing the trauma of their past, reigniting their dreams, and manifesting the miracles that actually matter, not just to you, to your mama, to your cousin, but really matter in your life as far as moving you forward. My IG handle is at I am Coach Kaya. I just want to thank our friends who become friends, who are listeners, our people that just support this podcast, people that offer ideas, that give us suggestions on people that should be on our podcast. We appreciate you so very much. Please know that this is a movement. If you know someone that would be a great fit for Boss Lady Conversations, please email us at bossladyconversations@gmail.com.
And there it is, Coach Kaya. And Coach Kaya is always open to new clients. So don't forget to reach out to her. We are on IG. You got our Gmail account. Don't be afraid and let us know. We want to hear from you because we so enjoy doing Boss Lady Conversations podcast, and we are thankful to God. So let's just be clear. We are thankful to God for providing this platform, creativity, growth mindset, healing, support, and intentionality. That is something that me and Coach Kaya have been doing for years, pouring into each other, helping each other on our journey of womanhood and the very facets. And we want to pour that into you. We want to be your best friends on this podcast. So keep tuning in. We have a lot of amazing things coming up. And so you only know if you listen. And know that our mission is always to give you a brave space to learn, grow, and contribute. We want you to walk away, to walk away from Boss Lady Conversations feeling inspired, imaginative, hopeful, creative, abundant, and of course, most of all, boss up to go after what really matters in your life. Boss up, boss up, boss up. Yes.
And today's topic is designed to do just that. We have a treat for you boss ladies out there today. Today's topic, how to boss up, brand up, and walk out courageously with award-winning marketing executive, Ashley Abdullah. Ashley is the epitome of a boss lady, from having an incredible career to being a true radical uplifter of her community and friends, to knowing when to walk away from situations that just didn't serve her. She doesn't have to wonder what the Great Resignation was like because she was a part of it. And so she's really living the life, and she is actually putting her life forward in a way that we can all be inspired by.
Whoa, you said that, Coach Kaya. I so love that. And if that's not a boss lady preview for you, I mean, let's just be honest. Companies can choose to ignore the fact that people are choosing how and where they work, or they could just get on board and create a change to create a harmonious experience for each and every employee. And according to Jack Flynn's Zippa article called 18 Great Resignation Stats 2022, why are Americans leaving their jobs? And sit back for this stats, ladies and gentlemen. In the month of March of 2022, at least 4.4 million Americans quit their job. The month with the most American resignation was in November of 2021, with a whopping 4.5 million quitting their job. And throughout 2021, an average of 3.98 million workers left their job every single month. That is over
Wow.
47 million Americans leaving their jobs in 2021. Where did they go? Tell us, boss ladies, what is happening? Don't leave us behind. We want to do it too.
Listen, they said goodbye. We have the gift of goodbye. Listen, our boss lady guest tonight has all of the messaging you'll need to stand in your courage and walk out if that's what you need to do in honor of your wholeness. It's a personal choice, okay? Ashley is an award-winning marketing executive with 15 years of experience in broadcast media and building brands, ranging from primetime television shows, Netflix series, sports, news, entertainment, properties, product extensions, and live events. She first began her career at Univision, the #1 Hispanic television network in the United States, where she ultimately led a cross-functional team responsible for promoting all properties, within primetime across 4 television networks. From Southern New Jersey to the heart of Miami, her career thus far has taken her from operations, sales, content development, brand marketing, and public relations in both corporate and tech startup organizations. So there is something for everyone. A New Jersey native and proud alumna of Rowan University, Ashley relocated to Miami in 2013, and she currently resides in Charlotte, North Carolina. In 2021, she launched Eden Park Media, and she joined the ranks of the Great Resignation to focus on creating content to elevate the stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. So let's give a warm Boss Lady Conversations welcome to Ashley Abdullah.
Woo! Hey, Ashley.
Wow. Wow. Let me just, how like when you have those things and like sometimes somebody just pours into you and it just fills your heart. I feel like this intro to this podcast episode just did that for me. Like, wow. Wow.
Thank you for receiving it. Because, it's one thing to have a moment, but to actually receive it into your heart. So we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yes.
So
Welcome, Ashley. Yes.
Thank you. I am so excited for this conversation with you ladies. I love your podcast. This is going to be a fun conversation. Really excited.
Thank you. Well, let's ask you a first question of what are you hoping our boss ladies will walk away from this conversation with today?
I love that question. My hope is that whatever I can share or whatever tidbits from my experiences, the good, bad, ups and downs, helps everyone, especially women of color, but all women, to really understand that whenever you're looking to make any type of move or any type of change in your life, whether it's personal or professional, you already have it within you. And sometimes we live in a world, unfortunately, that if you present confidence, the reaction can either be a threatened response or a heavy-handed response to kind of strip that away from you. And sometimes we need to kind of pour into ourselves, just like what you did to me, to remind ourselves, you've already got it in you. So to any queen who's listening, it's already in you. And you've got a network of people, an army of people who you may not even realize who's here to lift you up. You just got to peel back the layers of the negativity and we're right here for you.
Thank you, Ashley. Oh, that touched my soul.
You poured into us. First question, what else?
Right. What else is going on? Right.
So true. It's really true. I think all of us have our war stories, and it's so true. Like we kind of put on this armor that we have to inoculate ourselves from the negativity. And it's like, I love having these conversations and having a network of supporters and women and just people all throughout your career, your personal life, that can kind of create those safe spaces where you can just be yourself. And when you have that, the beauty of that allows you to soar. What does life look like when you don't have to put on that armor, and you don't have to inoculate yourself from that type of negativity,
Oh, shoot. We going down a whole nother road. Oh, Lord. Hold on tight, y'all. Hold on tight. Get your seatbelts. It's going to be bumpy tonight.
But you will soar. If you stick with us, you will soar. Yes. Ashley, if you could choose one brand that describes your boss lady journey, which one would you choose and why?
So, okay, I love this question. I think if I had to create a brand, now remember, a brand can be anything. It doesn't have to be something tangible. It could be untangible. It's really about a story or an experience, right? So I was thinking, a brand that would best describe my journey would probably be the show, The Mindy Show, where she's this beautiful woman of color, but it kind of takes you through, you know, the hard knocks lessons that she does as she's just trying to show up as herself in the world and make the world a better place. And I think that's like every time someone in my family watches that show, they're always like, Ashley, this just reminds you of your antics, reminds us of your antics. So you watch that show, you're basically watching me. But if I were to describe it as something like not tangible, a brand that doesn't necessarily exist for what my brand is, it's always with the intention of leave people better than you left them. And that's the Ashley Abdullah brand. Like, do whatever I can to leave people better than how I met them.
Amazing.
Well, you're already doing that with us. So yeah, but you're not leaving us. So this is but I love that. I love that. I mean, your vibrations, and I know that people can feel it, whether they're listening to us on Spotify or iHeartRadio or on YouTube. So thank you for all of that. So as we go down this journey with you, can you tell us more about your path to becoming an award-winning marketing exec and how you learned to boss up in your field?
Thank you so much. Yeah, so I'll try to give you the Cliffs Notes. So as you read in my bio, I'm originally from New Jersey, Southern New Jersey, right outside of Philadelphia, right? I am the product of, you know, two parents who are madly in love with each other, have a beautiful marriage, have built our family and, you know, really grew our family grounded in our faith. We're very, very close. All my siblings and I were very, very close. And everything that I've done in my career has always been grounded in that. At the core of me, that's who I am. But coming out of New Jersey, my major in school was Spanish literature and linguistics. I always explained to people that my first love was the Spanish language. As nerdy as that may sound, I always loved language. And I think at the core of me, every thread of my career, every industry I've done, every change I've done, it's always been grounded in creating content and uplifting storytelling, because my studies, what I've always kind of been grounded in was language and literature, you know, and different ways that we can express ourselves, you know, whether it's in a verbal form, a non-verbal form. And coming out of school, as you read in the bio, I started in a Spanish television network, Univision, at an entry-level position. I loved it. You know, it was entry level, but I loved it, everything that I did. I was hungry and I was a sponge to kind of take in more information. And I started realizing a few years later, once my family had relocated, they moved down south and I was the only one that stayed in New Jersey. And I always describe it as, you know how you have those points in your life, those chapters in your life where it's kind of like a pivot, right? There's like a before and after. When my family had moved, even though I had only lived and was born and raised in Southern New Jersey, it no longer felt like home. So it was kind of like this personal crossroads in my life where I was trying to figure out what feeds me, what fills me, and where is home. And just by putting that out there and just kind of just doing the best I can, focusing on my work, an opportunity arose for me to go into sales. So with $1 and a dream, I relocated to Miami, Florida, which is an amazing, magical, electric city. And I went into all different aspects of media just through that move over the course of the past 10 years. I first was in sales, broadcast sales. Then I was kind of pulled into marketing through a chance meeting, through an ERG group within the company. And I was basically rotated throughout different departments within the marketing organization. And that's really kind of what formed my love, breadth, and depth, and really like basically tying in and compiling all of those experiences throughout the marketing organization to what I do now.
Wow. Well, we do love Miami. And I like what you said about like how you define home. Is home a location, or is home about who you're around? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's, thank you. Thank
At
you.
that point in my life, that was one of those reasons why I realized geographically, I'm geographically agnostic. Right now, I'm talking to you from Charlotte, North Carolina, which that's a funny story. We'll get into that later, how I ended up here. But home is where I'm tied to doing what I love, and I'm surrounded by the people that I love, which is my family. And that was one of the big life lessons that I learned at that juncture in my life, for sure.
Hey.
That's powerful. And then when I think about that, it feels like every boss lady is just trying to find her center, her home.
Mm.
And I think that's why spirituality and having wellness practices in place is so important. So I just appreciate you saying that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's so important that we all help each other kind of come to that realization, because a lot of times we kind of go through life, kind of takes us through, and it drives us rather than us driving it. And once you come to that realization and you have that grounding within yourself, so many other things can unlock and open once you do. So absolutely agree with that.
Yes. So it's so interesting that you said that you showed up for the opportunity and then more opportunities just came. So what did you learn about your needs and values while navigating these leadership roles and going from like a non-leadership role to a leadership role in corporate spaces?
Excellent question. So I would say, okay, if I were to kind of distill my top takeaways, just from the hard knocks that life has dealt us. One, I realized I need to set clear boundaries with myself and with my job, right? A lot of times we push that boundary, and let me word it this way. I'm one of those millennials that kind of came up thinking that, with this illusion that everything was a meritocracy, right? The harder you work and the harder you push and the more you exert yourself, it's going to pay off in dividends with, bigger opportunities. And I think now, after, what you described as the Great Resignation, where we are at now, is people are coming to terms with that overexertion and that spending of yourself. All it is doing is depleting you. So one of the big takeaways are I need to set clear boundaries with myself, with my job, with work or career, and making sure that I'm in a space that allows me to do that, right? The next one would probably be that I'm creating spaces that allow me to nurture my curiosity and creativity, so that you don't atrophy or you feel stagnant in your career. And probably the third most important advice and value and need that I realized is that every person, every woman especially, you need to have your own personal board of directors, right? These are the people who kind of carry you through your entire career. They're the people who can give you that honest feedback, that can hold you accountable and check you when you need, and help you to progress in your career, those big transitions in your life, and help you get clear on what your strengths are. Because like I said, we live in a world that that feels very threatened when you show up with grounded in your values, in principles, or in your own confidence. And you need that personal board of directors, that network, to build you back up and refill that cup when people try to strip away at that.
Ooh, gym after gym, you just dropping it like bam, bam. You better take notes. You better listen, boss ladies. Run it back, because I'm taking notes. I'm like, yeah. I got a board. They don't know I didn't put it that way, but I got a board. Yes, you have to have your team. I mean, we can't operate. I think sometimes we think we can or we should operate, independently, but you have to have your support. You have to have that person you can go to when you have that day, who knows how to encourage you and not ignite you to do something that, you might can't come back from. So yes, I love everything about that and how you defined it. So just the words of wisdom, I appreciate that. And if people don't have people that pour into them, then they really need to check their circle and do an assessment. Yes.
1000%. And I think you hit on something right there. No matter how far you want to go, you can't do it alone. I used to think that I could. You can't. You cannot go it alone. You need support. You need a team, and vice versa. You need to reciprocate that as well. But if you want to go far, if you want to do different things, if you want to create opportunities, you cannot do it alone. And that's not only within your professional circle, but that's also your personal circle as well. Make sure that you're nurturing those relationships with your family, and all of your friends and those people that were always there for me from day one, right? Because they're always going to be there, in addition to those professional circles as well. You need both to show up as a whole person.
Right. And I appreciate you saying that, which leads into our next one, because I mean, reading those stats about all these people resigning and, hearing your journey as well. So what would be some strategies, that we should embrace when we give the gift of goodbye and choose to resign, as we move forth on our path?
First of all, can I just say, I love calling it the gift of goodbye. I love that.
I love it too. That's Coach Kaya. That's all Coach Kaya.
I took that from Bishop Jakes. He comes up with those good liners.
Yes. Yes.
A gift when it's a gift to you, and sometimes it's a gift to other people too. I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
So I would say, okay, because there's certain things we can't give a whole lot of details because how does Gabrielle Union say the way my NDA is set up, but
boom, that part.
You better tell the truth, sis.
Right.
So I would say for me, when I'm going to be honest, it was hard for me to come to that decision. It really is. And there's a lot of people who may be struggling and they may say, hey, listen, you know what? What is that point? What is the point of no return when things feel either irreparable or it's just like, you know what? I'm ready for a change. What does that look like? And for me, it was clear. I was two reasons why I was very clear why it was time to give my gift of goodbye. One was I realized there wasn't a growth opportunity in the position that I was in. I had kind of done everything that I could in that job, and the company itself was not able to have a clear strategy or a clear plan on how I could continue to grow. So that was the first part. The second part was, and I had to explain this, and sometimes you have to have those uncomfortable conversations, but my values and principles were not in alignment with the company's. And, giving examples, articulating that, once you realize that those two elements, for me, in my case, once I realized that there wasn't a true growth opportunity, my values, my personal principles, and all those things that really kind of make me whole and help me to show up the way I do are not in alignment with the company, I realized, okay, this is the point where it's best to part ways. So in doing that, I realized three things. One, be clear on why you're leaving. You have to do that work and that self-reflection before you decide to turn in that resignation letter or start having that exit strategy conversation. And that self-reflection and that clarity, it's key for several reasons. The most important one is for you, right? So you're clear on why you're leaving, why it's not working. So that way you don't end up in the same situation. Because if you don't know why, you're going to meet the same problem or people, you could substitute the two, right? You're going to meet that same problem or person in the next situation, just in a different form. It's just the same problem, same person with a different name. So that's why I say be very clear on why you're leaving and do that work. Two, and a lot of people will be surprised at this, talk to an attorney or a lawyer who focuses on employment law. It's really important as women, especially, to arm yourself with knowledge and understanding your legal rights. And I say this, let me be very clear. Hiring an attorney or consulting an attorney doesn't mean, oh, I'm gonna file a lawsuit or escalate things like that. That's not what it means. It's just for guidance. The reason why that is so important is because HR is not your friend. I tell people this, I tell this to my family, I tell people this to my network because it's so important to understand. HR within your company is not there to protect you. They're there to protect the company and the company's interests. So you have to treat them accordingly. And speaking with an attorney or a lawyer, having that consultation will guide you in being clear on what your options are and how to speak to HR and your supervisor as part of that exit strategy conversation. The third piece of advice that I could give is how do you want that relationship to be set upon your exit? So for me, in every role, I always wanted to create a bridge that, the door is always open. You never want to burn a bridge. So I thought very hard, long and clear about how I wanted to have this exit strategy conversation. I talked personally with all of the stakeholders, internally and externally, had lunches, had meetings, wrapped up projects, make sure that, I did an entire exit strategy and plan, wrote handwritten notes where, it was necessary. Really, that is part of your brand that you're leaving, and making sure that that personal touch carries through even when you walk away and say goodbye, and it's done with grace. In doing that, that leaves the door open wherever you go, and your network expands wherever you go, because you never know who you're going to run into, who you're going to work with again, and how that comes back full circle. So for me, it was very important that I was very strategic and I was able to center myself, so that way I wasn't leaving angry or emotional. I wasn't explaining myself very clearly, so people weren't sure why I was leaving. But also, I left on my terms, with in the way I wanted to frame it. But I did it with grace, and I was able to hold my head high, and I felt really good about it.
Wow. Ultimate professional. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Those tips are A1, because it can be so uncomfortable when you're saying goodbye. People always seem to go to like worst case scenario. Mm-hmm. So I love the fact that you took control of the situation and you said, I'm saying goodbye, and here's how I want to say goodbye, versus allowing other people to create that narrative for you, because they will. They have no problem with that.
100%. And let me be clear, even getting to that step, it's a buildup. And I strongly recommend working with a career coach, or even using that personal board of directors as you're even toying with those options in that decision, rather than waiting until you feel like one day you just want to snap and just say, I quit, right? Even when you start to feel that, hey, I think I want to do something different, or something's not sitting right with me, really kind of pull into your network, your personal board of directors, or talk to a career coach. I had a coach who helped me kind of rationalize and kind of unpack all of that in the lead up to when I finally made that decision. And that's why I was totally whole, and I felt very good as part of that exit.
Amazing. This is just another question, just based on our conversation today. I wanted to know, what do you think of the strategy of quitting as a means of creating more opportunity for yourself and earning more? Some people are really kind of sharing that as a means of growth. Like, you're probably not going to grow where you are, so you shouldn't stay more than 2 years. Like, there's so many people kind of giving those strategies out. How do you feel about that?
So I think that's an excellent question, and that's totally valid. I will couch it this way. Mm-hmm. In a post-pandemic environment, right now, the market, and even when you see like even trades writing about this, it's actually encouraged. You are the CEO of your own career and your own life, and you have to be strategic and build that way. You should look at every opportunity, every job as a stepping stone to whatever you want to get. Those days of, our parents' generation, where you work at a company for 40 years, 40, 50 years, and you retire, with the watch and all of that. And, that's those days that doesn't happen anymore. Companies are not loyal to you. You therefore should treat those companies accordingly. And in a post-pandemic environment where that is the norm, believe it or not, the way it's just being clear on that thread line, that storyline in why you're moving, which is why I always go back to say, be very clear on your why. If your intention was, hey, I only wanted to get a particular skill set, so my intention was in working for a particular company for a year, 2 years, after you get that skill, or you have a project that certifies that you are good at that and you've got that go, then move on. Because guess what? You staying to prove your loyalty to the company does nothing for you. That's not the life that we're living anymore. Those days are over. So I encourage it. The only thing I say is make sure you're strategic and be clear on why you're doing it. And that way you can explain it and articulate it in the next move. But you're in control.
All right. Control. Janice said it best. Get it. I love that. I mean, it just makes so much sense the way you just eloquently stated it and just made it very simple. Like again, that loyalty thing, some people are loyal to a default, and I used to be one of those. And used to be is the key word. And then some people are not loyal to nobody. They loyal to their paycheck and who gonna give me some more money. If you gonna give me $1 more, I'm out. That's it. I gotta go. So yes, thank you.
It's the confidence for me, as women of color. I feel like we're always like, often, not always, but tiptoeing, around like, oh, I don't want people to think, and oh, there was this amazing opportunity, and oh, but know that we work. We bring so much to the workforce. We stay up late. We work around our families. Like, we do all of the things and often don't get any of the credit or the pay that we deserve. So I just love your energy and your confidence building strategies. Everything that you're saying, it just feels so good for someone to say that to boss lady.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And you know what? You hit on something that is spot on, but there's so much more complexity to it, because as women of color, I feel like we came up conditioned. If you're in these spaces, or if you're in a job and you're not happy, or if it's not working, you put your head down, you be quiet, you just do your work, because who knows what else is out there, right? But I think it's so important to understand that the reason why that conditioning has almost been ingrained in us is because we are working in systems that really weren't designed to accommodate us or for us to excel. I mean, it's so important. I mean, and even when you look at it as right now in a post-pandemic environment, you're seeing these buzzwords, right? Where, you're talking about the digital transformation or innovation or even DE&I, right? After the events of 2020, those were buzzwords that really became a chasm that separated companies that really embedded that into their business strategy versus companies that were just using them for, buzzwords. But when you think about it, it's being in spaces that talk about being inclusive, but the only gatherings for team building are around Catholic holidays, or around things that not necessarily accommodate our culture or our values. And we just have to retrofit and fit in those spaces, right? So when you think about how we are showing up in these spaces where things are stacked up against us, it absolutely is true where it feels like there's that struggle and you're going against the grain. But now, I think by having content like what you're putting out there and building those networks and really just kind of sharing our experiences and lifting each other up, we can really break through that, change the conversation, and really change our experience. So that way we can feel like ourselves and actually experience what it feels like to excel.
Right. Wow. And I mean, yes. Just dropping them. We'll get a bucket in a minute, right? Gem drops. And just to think about the upcoming generation, as they maneuver and figure out, what does it look like to them? This is such an important message. I mean, for our generation as well, but, as they're navigating, what company I want to work for, or what brand I want to build myself, and what does that look like, and who do I hire? So I love everything that you're saying about being truly inclusive, and being mindful that, there's a lot of different beliefs, and we should honor all of them and not just one and just assume. Yes, because that's what I heard. Yeah.
Or even just creating spaces where it's not necessarily centered around beliefs and holidays of a one size fit all model. It can be sharing both, where, hey, listen, we have, a day to celebrate a particular accomplishment, not necessarily rooted in a holiday of a different religion or a practice that someone may feel uncomfortable with. It's about looking at things holistically, right? So that way everyone feels like they belong, they're celebrated, and that they're welcome. That's really what it's about.
Wow. I've never thought about it that way, like that the holidays can have such an impact on people feeling um, like they're included, like how what they want, what they feel matters. Like I never thought about it. It's always like that situation where like, here are the holidays, here are the company holidays.
Right.
Enjoy.
Right. But we live in a world now where, some people are Christian, some people are Muslim, some people are Jewish, and some people may not. But what does that feel like when, those celebrations or those team meetings that are so important to building your professional network and getting those opportunities in your career, because it's so important to understand the game and understand that strategy. People may not necessarily realize that a lot of times that whole ecosystem has been built and designed with a very tunnel vision focus, right? So what would life look like when you peel that back and everyone can now be included, right? Like, I think that's what's so important. That's such an important part of the conversation, rather than just using DE&I as buzzwords.
There it is.
Yeah.
I
Love it.
wanted to ask you about brand, right? So I know that the idea of creating your own brand can feel so intimidating, and everybody has something to say about it. People even say that you need a solid brand before you can even think about getting a new opportunity or leaving your job or making any decisions, right? And it's just like the word brand, but nobody really follows it up with like, how do you actually do that? And what does that mean for your everyday life and how people view you? So what's your advice for boss ladies who may have a little brand phobia?
So I think the important thing is to understand what is a brand, right? I think a lot of times people may get intimidated or they throw out certain buzzwords, and without having clarity on what it actually is, it can actually it can intimidate a lot of people, and that's why you may get some standoffishness. But really, a brand, when you distill it all the way down, it's an experience. That's what a brand is. It's not a label. It's not necessarily, it's an experience. How you want people to experience you, how people feel when they are in your presence, when they're working with you. So when you think of it that way, it's so much more than, a glossy resume or a LinkedIn profile. It's in the way you talk. It's in the way you handle emails. It's in the way you conduct a meeting. It's in the way you dress. So I'll give you a perfect example. For me personally, I always feel drawn to, strong female leaders, who are really just navigating their own hero journey, right? So for lack of a better explanation, my target, or who I've always kind of been drawn to, are those strong female leaders and who are like-minded like myself. So how I do that, it even distills down to how I dress. You'll always see me in some type of bright, vibrant jewel tone colors, right? Like my family always says, like, I'm always got, some crazy color on or whatever. Because one of the things that's important to me in projecting my personality and attracting like-minded women, and especially women of color, is that our skin, my body, should feel celebrated, right? A lot of times you see people talk about curvy women. I'm a Black woman with, this skin and this hair and this body. I was never skinny, right? You should dress in black or gray or dark colors or tone it down. And that's just not my personality, So even in how you show up in a room and how you want people to feel when you're interacting with them, that is your brand. So I say to any woman or any person who has that brand phobia, or thinking about what is my brand, or you kind of feel that paralysis in making a change, you already have it. And sometimes if you feel that you're not sure what it is, that's where that personal branded directors, your network, your friends, your family, that's where they pour into you, they lift you up, and they remind you who you are. That's why that is so important. I always go back to that, because how people feel when they're with you, how you treat them, how they experiencing you, that is your brand. Now, to get clarity on that, the best way that I could say what you need to define that brand is, get very clear on what your strengths or your weaknesses are. Be able to rattle off what are your top 5 strengths, right? sharpen that down and whittle that down. And that is the basis of you being able to articulate in one clear line sentence what your brand is. But holistically, your brand is everything about you, how you show up, how you make people feel, what your leadership philosophy is, how you work on teams, how you articulate yourself, how you dress. All of that is your brand, and you already have it. Boom.
Gems, now it's a masterclass. It's just a masterclass now. We have now officially became a masterclass. Thank you, Ashley. Oh my God.
So much.
Yes, you're right. It is about how people feel when they're around you. That speaks volume.
Mhm.
Like some people just feel your energy, and just when you come in, you don't have to do anything. It's like you're just that light who enters the room. Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. I love all of that. Wow. Yes. Masterclass.
And what I love about that so much, Ashley, is that we're always getting feedback. And you saying this really kind of resonates with me, because people are always giving me feedback, even when it's unsolicited. They're like, oh, when she comes around, it's like this and that. And I'm like, okay. But it's feedback. They're letting me know how I make them feel.
Mhm.
And they're giving me valuable information. And that is a brand. Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And the only other thing I could say to that is, especially with the unsolicited feedback, remember, feedback, and I think I said this to someone before, don't take feedback from someone you wouldn't ask advice from, okay? Sometimes you'll get that, and that unsolicited feedback, you have agency over yourself, right? Do not give your agency away to someone else. So if that unsolicited feedback is coming from someone you wouldn't ask for advice anyway, you know how we have those leaders who have a leadership title, a leader title, but you wouldn't follow them to the parking lot. Don't let them tell you who your brand is. It's so important. Show up, think of it yourself. Your life is like your own movie. Show up as that, that leading woman that you've always adored and admired. Show up and act like that. That you have agency over yourself. So I could go on about the unsolicited feedback.
Right. We get it. We didn't ask for it. We're not following you nowhere. Right. All right, TLC just come in my head. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. Okay, yes. I love it. So many gems. I mean, I'm just enjoying this podcast, and I hope our listeners are enjoying it as well. Just so much knowledge, and like you said, your confidence, and that's what I hear in all of this: confidence, knowing who you are, and that is already your brand, just knowing you, and keep operating in that mode, because you are a brand. You don't have to look for a symbol. You don't have to look for this, that, and the other. And we're not comparing, because we are unique. Yes, one of a kind. Yes. So Ashley, we have to ask this. So what's your one big scary dream that you have for yourself and your business? And we're thinking about something that even when you say it, you're going to be like, oh my God, did I just speak that into the universe?
Okay. So for professionally, that big scary thing, and I'm just like, I'm speaking it into existence, is me giving my acceptance speech, winning an Emmy for content or a project that I worked on. And I'm looking out, the scary thing is I'm giving the speech. So I've already won it. I'm giving the speech. I'm looking out at my friends and family in the first row, because I was able to bring them all along on the ride with me, right? That's the professional one. The personal one is one day I'm waking up on a yacht that I chartered for my whole family for vacation. My parents are laughing in the distance, and my nieces and nephews are, running around and playing as me and my siblings are getting ready to jump in the water. That's
I see it. I believe it.
Too.
You declared it, and God said yes.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Amen.
Yes. That's so doable. Oh, you had that ready. I mean, I had the whole visual. I saw everybody lined up like, yes. We're about to get on the yacht too afterwards. Yes. Me and Coach Kaya there too. We might not, we're gonna be back.
Everybody along on the ride. That's the dream. You do so well that you can bring everybody that was a part of the journey with you, and you can celebrate together. That to me is the dream. It's not just me by myself. You know, it's my whole family and my whole tribe, you know, being able to reap the benefits with me.
I love it. Thank you. Yes.
Absolutely amazing. Oh my goodness. Whew. So we heard you talk about your tribe. We heard you talk about your personal board of directors. So I know this is going to be a hard question, but which two boss ladies inspire you to keep bossing up in your life? And right now, disclaimer, nobody, please don't be mad. We just had to say two. But we know Ashley is so connected to so many amazing people.
So the first one I'm going to say my mother. My mother, you know, she is a powerful woman. I've always loved the way she has conducted herself. She's raised, you know, all of my siblings. She put 4 kids through college. We all have college degrees. We all have, you know, amazing jobs and have all done something for myself. She's always done it with grace. My mom, anyone who knows her, she's the type of woman, she is always dressed to the nines. You know, she's always styled up and she just does it very gracefully. But she stands on her own, and you know, her personality is very strong, and she's no pushover by any means. So definitely my mother. And number 2, someone who I've always kind of looked up to would be probably Bozoma St. John, professionally, former CMO of Netflix. I've loved how she's just shown up as herself and really kind of changed the game and transformed that definition of what a C-suite executive can look like. And she has had such an incredible career, and such an incredible brand that you cannot, no matter what you feel about her, you cannot give her not give her props for all that she's done and all that she's accomplished.
Love, love, representation. That's what I heard. Representation from your mom, you know, that's just love, you know, representation professionally. I mean, any woman, C-suite, you know, entertainment industry, like, come on now. We know how hard that is, you know, we know how that was formed and who it was made for. And like you say, having a seat at the table and being the head of the table. Yes. Thank you, Ashley. We so appreciate you. And we know our listeners are going to want to connect with you because we are already attached at the hip. So what's the best way for them to connect with you?
The best way to connect with me is on LinkedIn. That's probably where I'm most active, you know, in terms of like making new connections and just kind of saying, hey, this is how I can connect. I love to connect other people in my network too. So I love being able to reciprocate back what has been given to me. But look me up on LinkedIn, Ashley Abdullah. Very soon, Eden Park Media will have its own website and branding launch and profile and all that stuff like that. So I'll be sure to send you over that information so we can celebrate virtually together once that goes live.
Absolutely.
Yeah, connect with me on LinkedIn, anyone, please. I love just kind of growing my network and being a part of someone else's network and army too.
That's amazing, Ashley. So right now, is your focus more on Eden Park Media versus like stepping into someone else's company?
So right now, it's a little bit of both. I'm doing a lot of freelance work, and I have to honestly say, you know, and I hope as we talk about the Great Resignation and as women as part of this conversation, like, you know, what it looks like on the other side of the gift of goodbye. I thought it would be just something that I was just going to dabble on the side until I ended up in another corporate organization or whatever. But it really, within just a few months, kind of outpaced what I was doing in my previous position. And I didn't know that I even had that in me. I didn't know that my gifts and my talents and just focusing so much on my passion could lead to even bigger opportunities that I didn't even think that I was worthy of. Really, truly, I didn't. So it's been a very humbling experience. If you would have told me this side of, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, that I would have my own business, that I'd be creating my own content, and really, building out something from the ground up, and with, my love and full heart in it, I never would have believed you. I never thought I could have done it. So I just say, if my experience can help anyone, once you come to that decision, all you have to do is make that commitment, and you never know how God can just kind of literally grab your hand and unlock something else. So, because that's what really happened with me. And because of that, I've been able, one, to spend more time with my family than I have in years, work on content that's really important to me, that I really love, and I really feel like I'm making a difference. And if something down the line happens where I end up going back to corporate, I'm always going to have Eden Park Media on the side. It's my baby, so who knows what's in store. But the most important thing and the biggest blessing is I have the option now. I have the option. And that's what I love. And that's the most liberating thing. Our backs aren't against the wall anymore, ladies. Like we have choices.
Option. Yes. And congratulations. Congratulations.
Yes.
And thank you for sharing. Beautiful inside and out. Thank you.
So here's a recap of some of the many gems that Ashley Abdullah shared with us today. Are you ready, ladies? All right. You already have what you need to make a daring move. Pour into yourself and know that you already have everything you need to soar. 2, it's important to set clear boundaries with yourself and your career and make sure that you're in a space that allows you to do that. Number 3, every person needs their own personal board of directors. They will help you get clear on what your strengths are. They will build you back up and also refill your cup. If you want to create opportunities for yourself or others, know that you can't do it alone if you want to show up as a whole person. Things to consider before giving the gift of goodbye. Number 1, is there a growth opportunity in your current role? Number 2, is your current role in alignment with your needs and values? Be clear on why you're leaving. Do the work. Talk to an attorney that focuses on employment law. HR is not your friend. They are there to protect the company. You want to interact with them accordingly. Have a plan for how you'd like to leave. Try to leave with grace because you never know who you'll end up working with or running into in the future. You are the CEO of your own career, and you should make your decisions from that lens. Be clear on your why. Be strategic about what you want and how you like to move forward. A brand is really an experience. It's knowing how you want people to feel when they're working with you, receiving your emails, seeing what you choose to wear. It's how you show up in a room. Your brand is you, and know that you already have everything you need. You have agency over yourself. And finally, focusing on your passion can lead to so many dynamic opportunities. There are amazing things on the other side of the gift of goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Ashley. And that's just a small piece, but yeah, she did that.
Woo!
Yes. And I love how she was nodding. I'm like, that's you though. She read what you said, but she was like, yes, that part. Yes. Well, we hope you enjoy connecting with the wonderful boss lady, Ashley Abdullah, and learning more about how you can boss up and elevate your business. Thank you again, Ashley. We hope you come back soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, ladies. This was amazing. This was so cathartic. Thank you for what you're doing. And thank you for what you're putting out there. I wish that I would have had spaces like this, content like this, when I was a little girl growing up. So thank you for what you're doing. You don't know who you're touching and how you're changing things. It's bigger than you. So thank you for what you're doing. Keep doing it, queens. I support you. I'm here for you, and just keep doing your thing.
Well, thank you so much. That's the most beautiful gift you can give us, just the acknowledgement and being present in this moment. We really appreciate you. Absolutely.